Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting. Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, This Week in Recruiting is always brought to you by our good chicken friends.
And here
at
comes
Chicken
the bad
Express.
marketing line somewhere.
Chicken Express.
It's chicken.
They've got food, and it's good. So eat it. Chicken Express.
Good job.
Hey, Powers.
What's up?
I feel like
You're
I'm
going to lose our sponsorship.
No, I feel like people love the fake tagline.
Do they, though?
Well, I mean, I'm just telling the truth that it's good food.
It is.
Well,
I mean, if I were to go out there and, like, lie to people and be like, you know.
It's really the easiest sell. Like,
it is.
This is like the
Right.
sponsor that's the easiest sell. Everybody loves Chicken Express.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
If somebody, like, if we had a sponsor for something that I didn't like.
Or didn't know of.
Or didn't know
if
about.
If people didn't really
right.
know
if
about
we were
it.
like, yeah, if we were like, hey, we're doing something for, like, Korean cough syrup, I'd be like, yeah, it's, well, helps you. I guess. I don't know. I can't vouch for that. But I can vouch. I will personally vouch for Chicken Express.
I would never have experienced the deliciousness of a corn nugget if it wasn't
There
for
you
Chicken
go.
Express. And one of the things I wouldn't have rated highly, like if I would have like thought, oh, what? But they're delicious. Like how?
There you go.
It's so good.
Well, maybe that's what we're missing out on Korean cough syrup.
Yeah,
We don't know.
Corn
We don't
nugget,
know.
Hey.
Corn nugget flavored coffee.
Hey, Korean,
God.
Korean cough syrup. Call me. It's This Week in Recruiting. We got other segments you can sponsor. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to in the recruiting world, Monsieur Powers. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, we're going out east, way east. East, almost as east as you can go.
Yeah.
It's not the easternmost point. I looked that up once. It's not the easternmost point, but it's really close. There's part of the piney woods that ducks out towards Louisiana. We're going to Texarkana because in Texarkana, that's where you will find 2022 defensive end Derrick Brown, who is a guy. Now, Derrick, Texas High has a history of putting out outstanding defensive players, especially. They also put out a great quarterback a few years ago in Ryan Mallett. This guy is the next big thing. He topped 25 offers. He got especially a very big in-state offer from Texas A&M. And, yeah, this guy is a stud that I think people are going to need to know his name right now.
He's that. It's Derrick Brown.
Yeah.
By the way.
I think I said that.
Did you?
Yeah,
I
Derrick
don't
Brown.
know.
I don't know.
Defenseman
Derrick Brown.
Yeah.
Derrick Brown. 6'4", 210-pound hybrid defensive end, outside linebacker. He's one of those guys who just flat out gets downhill quickly. And just think about this. They had Clayton Smith, very similar on one side, and Derrick Brown on the other side. Is there any mystery as to why the Tigers went from 7-5 to 11-1 in 2020? I'm going to have to go out on a limb and guess that was a great 1-2 punch on defense that helped lead the charge there. Those guys were really good. Clayton Smith signed with Oklahoma, so I have to say the Sooners are an offer for Derrick Brown as well. I'm sure that they're working very hard to reunite that duo in Norman, but Derrick also has offers from a number of other schools, including now Texas A&M in-state and the Texas Longhorns, who are trying to get their foot in the door with him as well. So you're talking about the trinity of major offers in this area that he has to consider from now, and he's going to have a tough choice. He wants to try to think about it for a while and play it out to where he can take some visits. It's really weird for some of these 2022 guys right now. They didn't get to go to any games. It's just an odd time for some of these top recruits who have to make their choice when they haven't had a chance to visit some of these schools.
Right. And it's worth mentioning that it probably behooves him, I'm not telling any 2022 recruit what to do, but I think there's a real argument that it behooves you to wait to commit, because right now the dead period for recruiting, in-person recruiting, extends through May 31st. Is that correct?
Yes, June 1st is the first day back if they don't extend
if
it
they
again.
don't extend it again.
Yeah.
So I would say at the very least, there's some wisdom in waiting until June 1 to see if you're going to be able to get on campus and stuff like that. Because at that point, things may open up. You may be able to go and visit a place. But that's just another wrinkle for a lot of these guys, that they just don't have that on-campus experience, that on-campus ability to judge for themselves. I don't want to say they're flying blind because obviously there's a lot you can do with technology and coaches, and I think programs have gotten a lot better at showcasing their program in unique ways that don't require being in person. But there is some value still in being on the actual campus.
We like to talk about recruiting ifs and what ifs and all that kind of stuff here, right? So I'm just throwing this out there. Very similar player to Clayton Smith. If they end up playing the same position, does that give him more of the mindset, should I possibly look into some other options, i.e. Texas or Texas A&M? And if I'm looking at Texas, do I have to wait? And, if I'm seriously considering them because he plays such a specialty niche position in that, I would say it's like that jack role in a defense where he's going to spend a lot of time standing up and getting downhill. Does he wait to see what a school like Texas brings to the table on the defensive side of the ball? Is that a smart idea?
It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on Derrick Brown, the Texas High defensive end. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, we are going to talk about Jordan Crook. Jordan Crook, the Duncanville linebacker, has pulled the trigger. He is committed to Oklahoma State. Pretty nice get here for the Pokes, as Jordan Crook had offers from a lot of other places, including in-state places like Baylor and Texas Tech, out-of-state places like Michigan and USC, but Oklahoma State beats them all out for a guy that we have rated as a 4-star at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Jordan Crook, maybe easy to get lost in the mix there at Duncanville because there's so many great players, but you should certainly have your eye on their outstanding linebacker.
He's the number 45 prospect in the DCTF top 50, and he's a guy who I personally love. Like, you're not going to find very many prospects who pass the eyeball test more than Jordan Crook. This guy is well put together. And off the field, he's really easy to talk to, kind of really understands how to communicate with not only his teammates but with adults who are have been up in his face for a while now, trying to get interviews and stuff, because he was one of these guys who emerged on the radar very, very early on after his freshman year because of the way he looks. Like if he goes to a camp, he's a head turner, and that's a big deal. So people started wanting to get interviews with him and put him on the radar early on, and I'm just surprised that he didn't have even more offers, and I think he will be one of those guys who continues to collect major offers even though he's sitting on Oklahoma State's commitment list. Duncanville has produced a ton of top-tier defensive players. That 2019 defense that we saw in the state championship game was one of the best defenses that was ever put on a Texas high school football field, and they didn't fall off in 2020, and in large part to the play of Jordan Crook there.
And I think it's worth mentioning, and this is a thing to throw out there. So he is at Duncanville. In 2019, he played at Bishop Dunn. In 2018, he played at Mansfield Lake Ridge. He's been on the move, and I think people are going to look at that and be like, "Ah, man, that's a little sketchy. What's going on there?" I look at it from another perspective. I look at it as a perspective of he's played in 3 different schemes in 3 different years and has found a way to make an impact in all 3 of those places. That seems like a plus to me, especially in a time where you can't necessarily count on having the same defensive coordinator for your entire career in college.
I agree, and I'm not going to pull any punches here with this one. Reginald Samples at Duncanville, if you can't play, is not going to put you on the field. He doesn't care where you played before.
Yeah. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, and he got on the field and he made an impact because of his talent and the fact that he fit in with the team socially and academically, or he would not have played for Duncanville. I mean, that's just there's no other way to say it.
We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, and Next Level Athlete here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Let's go to our Underclassmen of the Week. Our Underclassmen of the Week, staying in the DFW Metroplex, going to Arlington. 2023 Arlington Martin cornerback Javien Toviano. He picked up some offers this week from some heavy hitters, in-state places like SMU, plus Ole Miss, Oregon, and Oklahoma State. He's already that's just icing on the cake of an already fantastic offer list that includes A&M, Oklahoma, et cetera, et cetera. This is interesting. So he is the brother of Rice running back Juma Toviano, an Arlington Martin product, and this guy was Now I think Juma Toviano is great, and I think he's awesome at Rice. This is the next thing there at Arlington Martin.
I love this kid. He's awesome. And out of the gate, and at the beginning of last season, he had the duty of matching up with Javien Sanders in game number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're put on the field starting your first varsity game, and you draw who was, the best offensive weapon and the number one. I mean, it was on the cover of DCTF Rising.
Yeah.
You get Javien Sanders to match up with, and he held his own. And from that moment on, he legitimized himself as a top prospect, and he hasn't looked back. He plays on both sides of the ball at Arlington Martin, but his value is going to be on the defensive side of the football at cornerback. And he picked up some good offers this week, but those aren't the only offers. He has all of the major top dogs, really coming after him. He's got Texas A&M, Texas, and Oklahoma already have extended offers, and I think he's sitting around, that 20 offer mark maybe right now already. So, I mean, he's going to be one of these guys who everybody knows about, and justifiably so.
He was the District 868 Defensive Newcomer of the Year, obviously a starter there at the cornerback spot as a sophomore. And you're probably thinking, wait a second, the running back at Rice is Juma Otoviano. This guy is Javien Toviano. Yes, they are brothers. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. They do have different last name, but they are brothers, so keep that in mind. All right, finally, let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week, we're going to the Houston area. Talk about Fort Bend Marshall wide receiver Chris Marshall. That's easy to keep track of.
But hard to find on Google.
Marshall for Marshall. That's true. He has accepted an invitation to play at the 2022 All-American Bowl there in San Antonio. And apparently, I don't know if maybe Nick Saban has some sort of tie-in to the All-American Bowl there in San Antonio. But the same day that he said, "Hey, I'm going to go play in the All-American Bowl there in San Antonio," Alabama offered him. So, and he's already got offers. He's a 4-star. Already got offers from Texas A&M, Oregon, USC. But Chris Marshall now adding to his list of accolades.
And he's a legit top prospect. He's the number 4 wide receiver in the DCTF rankings right now, up there with guys like Evan Stewart, Armani Winfield, and who's our number 1 guy is Caleb Burton, committed to Ohio State. And Chris Marshall may have, out of that group, the highest upside. Here is a shocking fact. The tape that you're watching right now on Chris Marshall, this is his first year playing football. Wow. He went for over 1,000 yards and put up major production for one of the teams that's always the most loaded in the state with top-tier prospects and with literally zero experience on the football field. So that's why you're starting to see his meteoric rise in recruiting because of his high ceiling. He, at 6'3", 195 pounds, he's one of those field stretchers who left the basketball court to come to the football field, and you can see those skills as well. And bear in mind, he's got all these offers, and there aren't any verified track times or 40-yard dash times. You can see his speed in pads, but just think if he goes out to one of these camps or even a team camp this summer and busts off a 4.4, then he's not only going to be heavily offered, he's going to shoot up all of the recruiting list and compete with Caleb Burton to be the number 1 rated wide receiver in the state.
There's a word, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. I mean it actually as a compliment because he's this good already. He's a bit raw. Right. There's still there. It's easy to see him taking that. There are some guys on this list that are obviously super good, but it's that's what they are. They've topped out. We know how good they are. Chris Marshall strikes me as a guy who there's another step for him to take. There's another couple of steps for him to take, and it has nothing to do with him growing. There's a lot of other guys, especially when we talk about linebackers, defensive ends, edge rushers. I would say offensive linemen, etc. That we say, oh, well, he's got a good frame. He could be really good if he grows. Chris Marshall could not grow another inch, not gain another pound, and just play more football and become one of those top guys who were wow, what a star he ended up being.
He's just a very physical presence, in 45 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 18 touchdowns to earn district offensive MVP honors in his first year to play football. So take note of this guy, folks. I mean, he's going to be coming to a field on your college football field soon on TV, and you're going to look at him and you're going to be like, wow, this is the next big thing.
That's our next big thing. He's Greg Powers of
Right
Next Level
there.
Athlete.
You guys would think that I
There it
set these
is.
up every week, but
Oh.
I don't. It's all you, man.
That's not true. We have like a
We have like a
text message
30-minute
thread.
meeting
It's like,
beforehand.
how are we gonna close it out?
end this?
What's the ender? He's Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1C. His fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, appreciate your time. Although we're going to see you in a different version here in just a second. So,
And we'll do it again next week? Question mark.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm here.
yeah, you're here.
See
Yeah.
y'all then.